Mirëmbrëma të nderuar shikues të televizionit Albio Kej dhe mirë se vini në emisionin UniversAL. I ftuari i natës së sotme në emisionin UniversAL është një themeluese e një shkolle shqipe këtu në Britaninë e Madhe, e cila në fakt nuk është shqiptare, dhe gjë që bën akoma dhe më interesante këtë fakt dhe bëhet fjalë për Sanda Eglite, e cila është themeluese e shkollës shqipe në Britaninë e Madhe këtu në Londër, në fakt për të qenë më korrekt, e cila quhet Gjurmë Iliriane, dhe Sandën e kam këtu sonte në emision, pra si që thash kam kënaqësinë ta kem sonte në emision, por që në fakt intervistën do ta zhvillojmë në gjuhën angleze, pra dhe siç e thash jo në shqip, për faktin se Sanda nuk është shqiptare, gjë që e bën akoma, siç e përmendsova, akoma më interesante faktin e kësaj themeluesit të një shkolle shqipe në Londër. Sanda, thank you very much for taking part in our program, in our show, which is called UniversAL, by the way. I understand you got the hint about it now already. So yeah, thanks for taking part. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's a pleasure being here. So hopefully for the next time I can do interview in Albanian.
Yeah, I hope so. It will be probably much more interesting for the Albanians. I mean, as I
Absolutely.
mentioned in my introduction, it's very interesting that, you know, we found someone that is not actually Albanian, that is a founder of a school. So you, being a Latvian woman in the United Kingdom that takes an initiative to create a project of an Albanian school for children in London, naturally the question arises as to how and why you decided to come up with such a project.
Oh, thank you. Great question. Yes, it started simply 7 months ago. We are living in Richmond Council, West London, and being a parent to young children in Albanian family, we saw the need for them to have environment and opportunity to engage in Albanian activities. We saw the need for them to be exposed and learn language, and there was none as near as schools would be in North London, which is some 2 hours away. So the project came simply about approaching our local authority, the council, who heard out my idea about smaller club after-school activity to be held at local school. And we were aiming for our local authority of 20 or so children to come by until we shared the word on social media. And we started receiving registration, so we needed to implement registration for something that's going to teach language. And the local community, which is over 300 Albanian families included in our research, came around and asked for more than a language. They wanted to know, are we going to teach culture and history and heritage? So this is where resources were brought in of exploring who are the people other than teachers living in our community, which are our great team of volunteers today. It's 12 of us, team of 12 of us, who are teachers, teaching assistants, volunteers teaching dance, teaching history, teaching heritage, teaching language.
But what prompted you actually to start an Albanian school, not a Latvian school, let's say? I mean, obviously for whoever is watching, they would be really, you know, interested to know why. And I believe you got with some Albanian connection, which you will be willing to share with us.
The baseline is, thank you. Yes, the baseline is that I'm a married Albanian man, and I've been traveling to Albania for many years now. And my first experience of visiting Albania was the great, rich culture, and the fact that I saw the generation of the people and youngsters of my age are still preserving the tradition, and they still wearing traditional costume, which is quite unique for a platform of Europe to see, because not many nationalities would do that. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, okay, so children of ours one day would probably have opportunity to preserve these traditions, and I knew then that it needs to be passed on and shared, and hopefully there is some way, living in UK, away from Albania, to share that opportunity. Mm-hmm. And the great connections started really back in Albania to see that it doesn't need to be stuck for all the generation just to live through traditions, and it needs to be passed on.
Right.
Because today, living in England, we are raising the future generation of Albanians, and we know that our children are very keen to explore all other avenues and all other pieces of culture other than our own, if there is not opportunity given. And for that reason, we did start Gjurmë Iliriane, and for that reason, we wanted to focus on purely giving opportunity.
Right. And you mentioned you've been quite a few times in Albania, I believe about 18 times or nearly
18
every
summers.
year since you, and I understand, fair enough, you loved one man from Albania, which is a great thing, by the way, but what were your first impressions when you started visiting Albania? So obviously, how did you connect with Albania? What did you like about Albania? What were the first impressions basically in general?
Yes, my very, very first impression about Albania was exploring Shkodra. That was my first stop, Rezafa Castle. And we had actually, when we went for the trip in the morning, there was no ticket office as such for such a grand venue as you would expect in Europe. And we had a local man who actually, just what I understood is a local man who walked us through the castle and who told us the history from his own heart.
Right.
And that, from that day in 2007, meant a great big deal to me. When I knew, oh, yes, this is Albanian people, these are native Albanians who will take in foreigner to show what they have, and the way they do it with open heart, and then they invite you to their house is something I've never seen before. And that really stuck with me. And yes. And that's something that I never experienced
right.
through my travels.
So basically, initially you fell in love with an Albanian man, but then with Albanian culture and all the rest of it, which probably led to you being the founder of this school, which is the reason why we're here tonight together on this show. So I'm interested to know Gjurmë Iliriane or Illyrian footprints. How did the idea to call it Gjurmë Iliriane came about? Which, by the way, I love it.
Oh, thank you.
I must
yes.
admit.
Yes, as I mentioned, we had little research, so little homework needed to happen prior to. So we're looking back in February, March 2023, and this part of research raised the question: what would the project be called if it lasts? And of course, you go and you see people living in your community, and you hear lived experiences from where they come from, and that is when I start thinking of what are these different footprints, what are these different paths parents, grandparents, families have taken to arrive to UK, and then you meet their children who are coming, who've been born here, who are coming to local schools, and they are talking for their path. That path is something that we all have left behind us, and Gjurmë means a footprint. So that signifies that every child who attends Gjurmë Iliriane has their own story of footprint to explore. And for second word, Iliriane is the other part, which is historically goes back to Central Europe, where we have learned already at our school that meaning of Albanian does really start with our pre-ancestors of Illyrians. And Illyrians, well, the language was born, and Illyrians who formed themselves as a tribe in Central Europe, where the lands of Albania, as we know it today, were explored. Right. And the word in Gjurmë Iliriane really stands for every single child living in West London today who would know to say, yes, I am from ethnic Albania, and this is my footprint.
Of the Illyrians.
Of Illyrians.
That's correct. That's absolutely very, very good founding of calling the school the Gjurmë Iliriane or Illyrian footprints, as they said in English. So now, even though you have like only a few months that you've established this organization and you're carrying on your project, but now you have a selected staff of qualified teachers and volunteers. But how difficult was it to start this project and find the right staff, and what were the challenges you were met with and how were they overcome?
Yeah, great question, thank you. The team itself, it's pretty unique item on its own, because none of the team members as we are today knew each other. So we are not a group of friends who would know and start the project. So the challenge was that only two of us mums who were at the local school, knowing each other as Albanians, discussed the idea. And then the social media done the rest of the work, and community itself is very close-knit. So the word of mouth traveled, and we become really inundated with the calls from parents who said, yes, I know a teacher other side of the London who would like to come and help you. And at that point, we got to say no to teachers from Greenwich or other outside London, say, no, we are just a very small project. We want to try out for 3 months and see if it would work with 22 children at that time. And we really can't commit to big teams, because that comes with commitment financially itself as well, to some extent. And as the time flew, it came 2nd of April when we said, okay, let's go out in community. Let's present our idea to our community, when actually our current staff came to visit us as a parents, and they loved the idea. And they said, I want to give my little knowledge I have from back in Albania, back in Kosovo, and see if it works, if it helps to build a project and see where it takes you. I said, absolutely, because this is the project itself. Gjurmë Miliran is not only about the children, it's also about a great development for every member of the staff, to give them the opportunity, because we do have a number of great teachers who've been teaching for over 20 years, for 8 years, 10 years back in Albania, and coming to UK, they never had the opportunity to explore avenue of teaching. So why not? So we wanted really to focus on our area of Richmond upon Thames and see if we can promote community-led skills for the project. And then, of course, if we are fortunate enough to expand in wider areas and invite more support from outside.
Correct. So, so you mentioned that you presented your project to the community. So I would like to know what has been the reaction from the Albanian community to the opening of this school, and how much interest has been shown from the parents and the children also, and not just the interest, how much support have you had from them? Yeah,
this was, I may take it a little bit back, because this was the main challenge I needed to overcome, being not Albanian, because there was great fear back of my head, thinking, I can not possibly launch a project if I don't have basis covered. So basis would be project guidance, project vision, and seeing if it's going to work. So I needed to approach local council first and present idea to have some certain acknowledgement from people who run volunteering services in the council, so local authority. When I had that validation, I thought, okay, I'm going to reach out to community and see what is the take on it, to have your children to attend Sunday school, Sunday 2 hours every Sunday. And we used our resources through local school networks, and we used our resources through social media. That's where our Instagram social page was launched. And we received incredible amount of messages, which was not even to show interest, but to say, do you need any help? Can you let me know what help you need? I have this or that local business. So local businesses, local parents saying, I know someone who can come and help you. And the first thing was not just showing, yes, can I subscribe my child, but can I come and help you? Can we do it together? So that was the big boost of confidence, and that was the step that we knew we can do it. We can try out and we can test it, and we can reflect on it 3 months down the line and see if it works or if it doesn't work, and take it from there. So the community interest was incredible. We knew from research statistics that there is a great amount of children attending, just under 300 children attending the whole Richmond, from the local statistics saying on most recent census. So we have some data to play with So just that we're not going out with a blind risk for the project. And we involved our local schools, so we say, yes, would there be a newsletter that you would consider? And that's where this very sustainable interest grew from the community.
And in terms of you mentioned the local government, so the Richmond Council, I'd say, how difficult was it to establish the school, the name, the project, and all the rest of it? Was it quite a straightforward procedure, or did you find any difficulties in that?
No. So, me and myself, in my career, I never dealt with educational projects, but I knew that people that needs to be approached and people who would be interested. But the greatest, it wasn't difficult, it was a challenge that almost was held inside for too long, knowing that with everything else that was going on in our local media, national media, actually, highlighting nationality and highlighting Albanians at that particular point in February. I knew, okay, if the timing is not right now, it will never be right moment to show actually that all the talk that happens for and against nationals of Albania living here can be actually overturned in one small trial project. Let's call it a trial project.
Right.
And we will put a project on a table of Richmond Council Volunteering Society. So people who say that they do support diversity and ethnic minority, but they need to see evidence of how you're going to do it. So we needed research. We needed to show that there are children at the end of the line who are still watching TV, who are still going home after school or even at school, hearing things and being constantly exposed to what our great media would expose them to. And no Albanian parent living with primary school child, starting age 4.5 up to age of 10, would want that for their child to hear and be exposed to. So we needed to act quickly. We approached the council, we gave the presentation, and we said, what are the risks? Can we succeed? And they said 3 months. 3 months, yes, trial it out, and let's see where it takes you. So that was the main challenge.
Right. Here we are now, but what else do you teach children besides from the Albanian language? So is there anything else that you teach them to do the Albanian culture or other things? Or is it all the teaching about the Albania and include the language and the culture, as I said, or is there other teachings that you carry on in your school as well?
Our learning project, so when we started back in May, we knew that we need not 1 month, not 1 week worth of plan. We need a plan to be set out for a whole year. So not only our teachers have confidence, but also children and parents can see the progress. Or in any project, it would called how you measure your success. So we had a plan ahead. And we knew that at that time, we have no support, let's say, to open a book and read from the book, just to rely on teaching the language. And evaluating all the risks, I knew that for my children, just going on a Sunday school, Albanian school, to learn just language will not take them very far. So they are clever, they are very intelligent, but they are also very curious. And this was an opportunity to see what are our teachers, what our volunteers do. So we do dance, we do heritage, we do crafts, and we do something called blended learning techniques. So blended learning techniques at Gjurmiljarn is something that really outstands us against our other friends and schools in UK.
Right.
That we can inspire to teach Albanian culture, language, and heritage, not only by the book.
Right, and probably help them in the integration as well, because obviously the Albanians, by birth, most of them, I believe they are, they're born in United Kingdom, so they're British as well. So, yeah, great. Also, one thing I want to mention is that Gjurmiljarn, like any other project, it needs funding, right? So how difficult has it been to finance it, and how have you secured the funds so far?
Yeah, we had two great phases. We had phase when we just launched our trial project, which was assisted by local council in terms of formalities and processes to be validated to run organization as such. And as you might know, running an organization that deals with children, you have extra level of responsibility and compliance to attend to. So at that point, our priority and our team's priority was to see, do we have all the training in place, and finances were left on the side of, let's raise as much as we can. We knew that we want to offer free training to all the children. Challenge started when we didn't anticipate a demand. We were hoping for 24 children. And here we are with 84 children, and we knew, okay,
and
so
what's
finances...
the number by now, by the way?
So at the moment we have waiting list, so we are a little over, we honor our waiting list, which is confirmed by end of next week. So we are just little over 100 children in our books. And when it came back to funding, we knew that to make it sustainable and feasible, we got to draw in funds fast.
Correct.
Our formal status of organization was just a community group as we just started out, because there was huge risk to be established as a limited company. There was no means to it. Established as a charity. So we really assessed on what is our playing field, because finances even to pay rent was huge. And negotiations started to cut in the conversation with local community centers, who kindly accommodated us, with the council, with writing project, funding applications, and mainly holding our team together and supporting them with anything we can from our own funds. So our main funders have always been for first phase has been our local Albanian businesses, which we are very grateful for. And only very recently, yes, and only very recently, since we are awarded charity status, has been national funders who have seen the results of our work. But back to the first phase, it wouldn't have happened financially for us if it wouldn't be for our immediate Albanian businesses working hard in the community.
Which is a great news. They've been, helped by the Albanians here, like the businesses. So I take so far you've been helped, if we may say like that, you've been helped by the local council, of the local government, however much that is, and also by the Albanian businesses.
Yes, so in practical terms, all it is really for a period of 6 months, we are able to cover our rent.
Correct.
So, and we are able to cover our insurance,
right.
And we are covering volunteering expenses. Team of 12 teachers and volunteers are all working at volunteering capacity. And
so all the teachers are working on volunteering capacity?
They've been working up to very recently as a volunteers up to 1st of December, when we just drawn in the national funds. So
right.
we are proud to announce that it's national lottery funding, who
right.
have greatly awarded us their funds to run 1 year's worth of sessions, which would cover teachers' expenses, and our rent.
As well as the rent and the rest of the expenses, which I assume there are quite a few as well. So, but a specific question I want to ask you, you are a founder of an Albanian school, so obviously everyone would wonder if you have actually sought help from the governing bodies from Albania or Kosovo governments, basically from the respective ministries of education, basically. So, I mean, you so far mentioned only the local government and the Albanian businesses, which I assume you have had no help, or I'm not sure whether you approached them for help at all. And I'm not talking only financially, but obviously, you probably need help with the books and with all the rest of it, in order to carry on your project.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, great question. We've been very hopeful always with every communication we have with both embassies, Kosovan and Albanian embassies in London. It is taking its time for the network to expand and for relationship to expand, if you call it that way. Mm-hmm. We have had open conversations with Kosovan embassy, which we are really grateful for, and we are really, as I said, we are very hopeful that these conversations for support of books, which is our main resource to succeed, will materialize in the near future. As it is for Albanian embassy in London, we still remain very hopeful.
But I take so far you've had no help?
We've been really challenged by the resources that just establishing a communication with the embassy itself has been...
Is that the path you chosen through the embassy, or you're thinking of probably going straight directly to the governments of Kosovo and Albania, or, as I said, to their respective ministries of education?
No, when we first approach, our main intention and conversation has always been about providing the resources, because we know how efficient and how outstanding is a resource of written book for Jewish Cipa or Betare in diaspora. So we have great network and connections with other schools that we share. So it's a very simple open science approach to every project. An open science project is that other schools would share their knowledge with us, and they say, this is your best call. Or our dignitaries in Albania would send us acknowledgement to the work we do, but they would say, oh, but still, you need to go back to embassy. And this has been a little setback. Having said that, in practical terms, it has been a setback. It has slowed things down for taking in more children, because we want to provide outstanding education. And not only education by reading the book of Jewish Cipa, but also submerging it together with expanding the project itself, which is today, as it stands, a charity. And as it stands as a charity, it needs every single resource we ask for. And we only ask for the reason of promoting the well-being and education for the children.
Right.
Who are Albanian children living in United Kingdom.
United Kingdom, correct. What will you most need help with in order to carry on with your project and make it successful?
So as it stands today, being a charity organization, we need a support of resources. Because if you think
what
that...
What resources? It's not just human resources.
It's not human
financial
resources. It's not much of... At this moment, our main priority is to open conversation with institutions in Albania, because we know how sophisticated are their ability to provide books. So we talk in Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Education, who has specific area to developed and really advanced, which is great to see in the spectrum of Europe, that Albanian government can provide those materials for books. What we are challenged by is logistics. And this is where our main priority lies, and that's what has become so time-taking for us to progress and potentially to see children or families dropping out, to see, oh, it is Albanian school, but they can't keep up with the offering of written word and written text, as we recently discussed in our meeting, is that not to have that written text will pose great challenges, not on our teachers as much, but on children to flourish and for us to be able to measure their success. And if we can't measure their success with that support from Albanian embassy or institutions in Albania, we cannot lock in greater funds, because every national funder out there in the United Kingdom who is ready to support us financially need to see evidence of that we do what we say we do.
Of course.
And learning the language is a big part of it. And we just know that there is this treasure locked away that we don't have access yet to. So we are hopeful.
So there's been a lack of books so far, of written text so far, since you opened. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. Probably the reason could be that we are very high in demand, and we have accepted loads of children. We have accepted just under 100. So you got to, in terms of logistics, you got to anticipate that even if your local ministry or book provider cannot provide copies as such, we need to resources. This makes
it harder for your teachers, however qualified they are, and also for the students, for the children that they learn in Albania.
It doesn't. At a given term today, it doesn't, because our learning plan is developed enough to see how we can cover areas. It's not just to sit at the desk on Sunday morning and look at the book. That's not what Germilian is about.
So you were prepared
so
for
we
it
are
in a way,
prepared, we have taken this, we have factored those risks in. We knew that there will be logistical challenges to obtain the books, and we are working. And the team has been fantastic, and team has always created new ways, as I said, on blended learning, that will have the children engaged and their curiosity developed and their intellectual really flourishing.
Well, I mean, these are challenges any project would incur, like, you know, and also I'm sure with the good job that you guys have done for a very short period of time, you will get the recognition. I'm sure from both governments, Albanian and Kosovan government. Therefore, you will have the help you need, and I hope so. And I'm really optimistic on that as well. But based on that and all your plans as well, I would like to ask you as a final question, actually, what are the school's future plans for the growth and also improvement?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Yes, our future is not that far call away. We are going to celebrate our first anniversary just end of May next year, and up to February we are looking into expanding our profile into Europe. So we have some exciting partnerships and projects aligned with our other schools and partners in Europe to bring the word of Illyrian to the platform of European Commission. It's still early days to see where it could take us. As far as we stand today, we want to develop a strong community, not only for children but also for our teachers, because staff is parents and local residents who have found a time to work away from their main jobs, running their main households, looking after their children, keeping their partners and husbands very patiently waiting for while we do Jurmiljana work.
Not always very easy, that.
Not very easy, but it's been happening. So that's the path we will continue to take, and we thank our Albanian community for supporting us. So the future will hold, hopefully, establishment of another great Albanian school in United Kingdom.
Still in London or somewhere else?
Still in London, still in Richmond. We will see.
We'll see. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I wish you all the best with your project, and I mean, me as an Albanian, I would like to also thank you for the job that you do and for the project that you started, teaching the Albanian kids not just their language but also their heritage and their culture, which is a great thing that you're doing, and I wish you all the best on that. And to conclude, thank you very much again for being part of my show UniversAL here in UK TV. Thanks indeed.
Faleminderit shumë.
Faleminderit juve. Shikues të nderuar, ky ishte edhe emisioni Universal për natën e sonte, që ishim së bashku me Sanda Eglite, siç e thashte në fillim të emisionit, e cila është dhe themeluesja e shkollës shqipe në Londër, e cila quhet Gjurmë Iliriane. Unë ju falenderoj që ishit me ne dhe ju le të takim në emisionet e radhës. Deri atëherë, natën e mirë dhe mirupafshim.